So I was sitting there the other day playing Alan Wake for the first time in years. From the power plant to the church, the world built by Remedy is truly fantastic. You play a writer whose name I've forgotten as he tries to uncover the mystery behind his wife's disappearance in the town of Bright Falls. So there I was, pointing my light at the Taken. No, not that Taken. This Taken. And I thought, you know what? This would be a fun thing to do in Unity. When that was done, I was inspired to continue, and I thought I might as well stay in the Remedy theme. Welcome to Prototyping Games, a series where I shamelessly rip off big budget games and make janky prototypes. Today we're going to rip off Control. Control is the latest game from Remedy in which you play as a woman called Jessie. She turns up to work on her first day and gets promoted to CEO within 5 steps of walking in the door. And as if this huge immediate promotion wasn't enough, she somehow manages to have special powers which lets her do all sorts of crazy stuff. She's got a dash, a Jedi Force push, a Jedi mind control, and you can fly. While all these powers would be interesting to explore, I thought that the launch ability would be the best, and then I realised it's been done countless times in many other games, so we're going to do the shield instead. So I rang up Remedy and asked them for the models that were used in Control. After being on hold for a few hours, they were kind enough to put them on a floppy disk and mail them over to me. I received the package, put it in my computer and imported them into Unity. Perfect. The time was 7:77 and I needed to be in bed at 8, so I didn't have much time. The first thing we needed was to get our character moving. After creating my script and bashing my keyboard for a few minutes, we had a simple third-person controller. There's no need to write a brand new third-person camera, so I stole the one out of Unity standard assets and threw it in there. There's a small issue with our character that even the keen eyes out there probably didn't notice. We have no animations, so I took some time out and created some animations completely from scratch to use with our character. I created a simple animator and used a blend tree so that we can drive our character's walk and run animations. Oh god, it looks awful. I decided at this point that we needed to make this an animation driven controller, so I went back into our script and began rewriting. To do this, we can remove our character controller and add a rigid body. Then we can go back into our script and rewrite our move function to work correctly. All we are doing in our move function is getting the correct movement vectors based on our inputs and manually rotating the character. To get it driven by the animation, we head into our animation settings and we bake our root transformed positions in. We need to ensure our animations are not in place for this to work, as we will take the position of our animation to drive our movement. We then use the onAnimatorMove function and then grab the delta position of the current animation, multiply that by our move speed and then pass this to our rigid body to move our character. We can also pass in our new forward speed to the animator so we can control the blend tree. Now that's much better. I needed some rocks that we can use for our shield, so I downloaded this rock set from the asset store. I didn't want to place them manually because I'm lazy, so I created a quick script to just scatter them around the place. There's only one problem, and that's the fact that our character's feet are currently under the ground. I looked at the powers available in Control, and after much research I determined that this was in fact not one of the unlockable powers available in the game, so let's fix that. So it turns out the IK button does nothing. What it does do is enable the onAnimatorIK function, so you can manually determine IK positions through script. So let's write another script. This script shoots a raycast down from above each foot and then sends the position of the hit out to the IK system. We check if we're hitting anything and then tell the animator to move the foot to the raycast hit position, else we just continue on with the animated position. We can use a layer mask to tell the raycast which layer we want to hit, just in case there's an object we don't want our player to stand on. The problem is that if we leave this as is, then if we are walking on a flat surface our character will slide, because our raycast is always finding a position on the floor. So to offset this, we can use an animation curve to set when we want the IK to kick in. So you can see that we add a new curve for both feet, ensuring that when we want the IK to be working, the curve is set to 1, and when we don't, it's set to 0. We then set this as a variable in our animator so we can find it with our code. We can then pass this float into the IK system and set our position weight based from this curve. Now we can see that we are placing our feet correctly. In Control, it seems that Jessie pulls stuff from the ground to use as her shield. However, I wanted to use objects that already existed in the world instead. To do this, we can use Overlap Sphere. Instead of using a preset radius, we start off at a small one and increase the sphere until we get the amount of objects we want. We can then add these into a list, ensuring that we don't add any duplicates. I wanted the shield to be a solid wall in front of our character instead of appearing all around, so I used the sunflower seed arrangement algorithm. No, I don't know what it means, but some clever dude on the internet converted it to Python, so I converted it to C#. This will make the objects arrange themselves into a circle in a nice pattern, like a sunflower. Next, I didn't want any rocks to fly through our character, and I also wanted our player to be able to kick the rocks around when we walked. So I used the Ragdoll wizard to add the basic gliders and set them all to kinematic. We could use this to transition our character to Ragdoll and back, but we're not going to because it's $7.99 and if I'm late to bed again I'll be grounded. There we go, they arrange themselves nicely in front of our character. We only now need to add animations to the top half. To do this we can use an avatar mask. Avatar masks allow you to mask off your character and only apply animations to a specific part. We can create one and then deselect the bottom half of the character. Then we can add a new layer to the animator and use the mask we created. We can create a new variable to drive this animation and then we can head back into our script and plug in the new variable. We can also tell the player controller that we only want to walk while shielding. To sell the effect a little bit, I created a particle system which is triggered by the script. I used the rocks that we already downloaded in this and messed around with the particles until I was happy. I unticked the emit node and then in our script we set them to trigger when we are shielding. I also changed the gravity modifier on the particle so that they will drop when we stop. Next, I painstakingly created a slapping animation and added this to the animator. In our script, we can detect if the player is shielding, then if they press a button, we can add a force to all of the shield objects and trigger the animation. This will make all the rocks fly off in the direction of the camera when we hit the left mouse button. To add a bit of jazz, we can use the post-processing stack for Unity. I added some bloom, motion blur and some small colour correction. Most importantly, I added some chromatic aberration, which we're going to control through our script to highlight when we are using our powers. I added a new function to the script and alert between the values depending on whether we are shielding or not. Now we have a working shield, and we can slap it away when we're done with it. And that's how I created the shield effect from Control. If you have any ideas or suggestions for mechanics that you want to see, just post a comment down below. Thanks for watching, see you next time. Later taters.